Hi, stars. Here we are, basking in all the glory. We have some divots on our nose, but we are, continuing to be puzzled by the relatives. We saw her at Trooping of the Color. We saw her as Kate Middleton could still be struggling with the pain of cancer, cancer prevention, cancer treatment, and all of that. What's real? She certainly looked very healthy, very fit, very sturdy, tipping around in those heels, both at Trooping of the Color for Charles's birthday, as well as at Wimbledon. That's been divorced since 2022. Is she literally looking out for her next, shall we say, sponsor? Is this a situation where president's agreement is simply to get us used to the idea, right? Just like we've long been seeing Kate and William appearing separately and performing work events separately. And when they go to sleep at night, Adelaide Cottage versus Kensington Palace Apartment 1. Anmer Hall right next door to Rose Hanbury versus Bucklebury, right? All very expensive, high tone aristocratic places to lay your head, but significantly at the expense just in the United Kingdom or around the world. And it's puzzling that there would be such a, is there any reason why he shouldn't be able to just tell us where his money's going from the Duchy of Cornwall, etc., the inheritances? Is it just impossible for him to step up and be, I don't know, a better man? Even Charles was able to share his tax information with us, and we appreciate that because, again, you want things to be above board. You want them to be real. People who are royal by birth and are at an elevated status, they should be better than us, more honest than us, because they can afford to be. But William's homies, is that why Hugh Grosvenor's wedding, number one, the crown paid for the security? Is that William personally? It sounds like it was the taxpayer. For a billionaire's wedding? What? And then it sounds like maybe the reason why the reception was private, yeah, we saw homegirl stroll on the plywood in the wonky blue shoes. Maybe the reason why the, what do you call it? The reception was private was because, it was some kind of agreed to situation where, Mr. Egg could be alone and in private and doing, what he want to do with his private life without prying eyes, or at least not eyes that are commoner, right? Including Kate, right? That difference never changed, right? He is still highborn. He is still a noble. He is still an aristocrat. And she, despite titles that may be temporary, is not. And that has to be a significant point in dealing with your husband, right? If your husband isn't really going to embrace you and support you as a lifelong partner, then that obviously is going to lead to him straying as well as excluding you from events, right? Remember when Singapore for Earthshot solo without her. Remember when, oh, so many events, so many kitchen and, strolling about in different parts of Wales and Scotland, solo events. What else does Homegirl have to do if she's not accompanying him? And it seems a little bit dastardly to have already started depriving Kate Middleton of her public role. So maybe it's not really her choice to pull back from doing more work. I'm guessing he doesn't want her to do more than him. And thankfully, that's never been the case. But at the same time, there seems to be a way that the last 2 years shifted in the last 8 months to some kind of health crisis, some kind of disappearance. It may or may not have had to do with cancer. It may have had to do with an injury and surgery to correct it. We certainly saw a new scar on the left side of Kate's face around the occipital bone in certain pictures, right? We can't get any consistent idea of what Kate looks like just because of the number of filtered images that are treated with some kind of Photoshop or artificial intelligence. And, again, from a show business perspective, that's certainly fair. But it doesn't mean that we are convinced that that is, kind of documentary proof or evidence that this is what Kate Middleton looks like today in any way, just because we've been fooled so many times before. There was a photo from Christmas 2023 that, if we're thinking about it, kicked off the whole suspicious Photoshop with weird hands and, in the last year, right? Whatever happened to Princess Royal Anne? Whatever happened to her husband with the black eye? Whatever happened to Lady Gabriella's late husband, Thomas Kingston? Whatever happened, to a whole bunch of people who suspicious circumstances and cockamamie explanations ain't none of them people doing gardening. Ain't none of them people, if they were near a horse, injured by the horse. Ain't none of them people with head injuries injured with a long pew pew that's laying on the ground nearby. It doesn't make sense. What does make sense is that you plant evidence or you point to something to suggest in people's minds that that's the explanation, where the coroner's report doesn't say that. Body got cremated. The medical report doesn't reflect like, oh, Black Beauty, kicked the person in the head. No. Homegirl was Princess Anne was in the hospital for a week and now suffers memory loss. Let me ask this, right? On the strength of the American soap operas, what exactly did somebody not want Princess Anne to remember? Did they not want her to remember who did it? Or was she engaged in some sort of what is so potentially out of balance about men, older men, people who want to have younger partners, partners who are not savvy in the world, in the ways of the world, people who want partners who are less empowered than him, right? If I'm an aristocrat and I marry a commoner, who has more power? It's obvious, the aristocrat, right? And I make you isolated within our shared social circle. So when things go down, you know they're going to side with columnists. We won't even call her a journalist.